Ladies and gentlemen, gather round. Let me take you back to the sweltering summer of 1848 in Baton Rouge. Picture this. The air is thick like molasses, clinging to your skin as you walk through the sun-scorched streets, where the clatter of horse-drawn carriages mingles harmoniously with the laughter and chatter of townsfolk going about their day. But beneath the facade of southern charm lies a mystery so disturbing it would turn even the most genteel of gentlemen's stomach. Now, I want you to meet our main character, Estelle, a woman of remarkable spirit and tenacity. Born into slavery, Estelle spent the early years of her life in the fields, her hands calloused from the relentless toil, her dreams soaked in the sweat of survival. Yet, Estelle was not merely a figure lost among the cotton bolls. She had aspirations, hopes that soared higher than the magnolia trees that dotted the landscape. She yearned for freedom, not just for herself, but for the future of her people. Estelle had a fire that could ignite change, if only she could find the spark. Now let's throw in the sullen, brooding figure of Joshua, a free black man who wanted nothing more than to keep his head down and work his carpentry business in peace. He carried the weight of a painful past, a family torn apart by the very system Estelle sought to dismantle. Most folks knew him as the guy who briefly made the best wooden rocking chairs in town, but behind those sinewy hands lay a heart crippled by loss. Joshua's world was a silent protest against the nightmares he had witnessed. Then there's the villain, or, as we like to say in the business, the antagonist, Mr. Jefferson Hawthorne, a plantation owner known far and wide for his cold-heartedness and his ability to strike fear into anyone within a mile radius. There's a macabre satisfaction he derives from wielding power over others, his glinting eyes revealing a man who not only enjoys his dominion but thrives in the shadows it casts upon human lives. His motives are complex. He believes he is preserving a way of life, much like a gardener nurturing his prized roses, but with each thorn, he pricks at the humanity of those around him. As the heat of summer envelops the town, a series of strange occurrences begin to unfurl. A ghostly figure haunts the town square at night. Figures whisper that it's the spirit of a runaway slave, seeking vengeance. People say he appears to those who've lost their way, shrouded in mystery and desperation. Curiosity dances like fireflies in the evening air, pulling together the likes of Estelle, Joshua, and even the self-proclaiming brave, local tavern keeper, Agnes, who has more than enough stories and a thirst for adventure that could drown your average barn animal. The first turning point arrives one particularly muggy evening. Estelle hesitates by the edge of the square. Hearing whispers from a group of children, her heart plummets at the realization they're sharing tales of the apparition, saying that slaves who had tried to escape often returned to seek justice against the slavers who shackled them. It's enough to set her spine tingling. It becomes her catalyst. Fueled by anger and a yearning for freedom that feels as tangible as the air around her, Estelle decides she will investigate this ghostly figure and uncover the truths that bind her people to the land. Meanwhile, Joshua is trying to push past his own grief, focusing on his craft. Yet something about Estelle's resolve stirs something deep within him. He offers to help her unravel this mystery, caught up in her drive as if it's igniting embers of passion he thought were long extinguished. And the rest of town. They watch this ambitious duo with a mix of skepticism and fascination. Agnes, with an enormous belly laugh and equally large fondness for mischief, declares herself the self-appointed guide of all things supernatural, a title she revels in. Her tales of local legends have previously kept the townsfolk from sleeping soundly at night, so when she declares she'll assist in the investigation, people feel both terror and excitement creeping up their spines. After all, who wouldn't want to see wild-eyed Estelle and the brooding Joshua venture into the shadows? As they delve deeper into the mysteries haunting Baton Rouge, strange happenings overlap with their own uneasy realities. They uncover clues from local taverns and hush-hush conversations in the marketplace, secrets spilled from drunk tongues. The convergence of their backgrounds, Estelle's passionate fight for freedom, Joshua's haunting past, and Agnes' unquenchable thirst for the fantastical, creates an enthralling dynamic that draws the townsfolk in like moths to a flame. Then comes the second turning point. In a midnight ruckus, under a crescent moon that hangs heavy in the velvet sky, they chase down a flickering figure. The figure turns, and for a fleeting moment, Estelle thinks she sees not just a ghost, but a memory, a reflection of her own past. The entity morphs into the shape of her mother, a painful reminder that shadows of the past often linger, and their significance cannot be easily brushed aside. A visceral wave of motivation washes over Estelle. She knows now she must fight not just for herself but for all those who came before her. Joshua, standing by her side, feels his sense of purpose rekindle, ignited by the intensity of her resolve. By now, an unsettling tension has gripped the town. Whispers and rumors spread like wildfire, and inner tensions bubble. People are questioning their choices, their pasts, and the core of their own humanity as the ghostly figure is sighted more frequently. And where is Mr. Hawthorne in all this? He frantically tries to drown out the rumors, claiming the apparition is nothing more than a ruse to incite rebellion. His facade begins to crack as allies turn into foes, and the ground starts trembling under the weight of concealed truths. And here comes the grand climax, the third turning point, a fateful confrontation during a town meeting meant to dispel the chaos. With the flickering light of candles casting long shadows, Estelle stands up, takes a breath that feels like an eternity, and begins to recount her story, the stories of those lost in the system, lost because of powerful men like Hawthorne. Joshua stands beside her, his heart racing as he realizes that hope and defiance itself have a voice. Something shifts in the atmosphere, the walls built between the town members start to fracture, and they begin to see the tapestry woven of shared pain stretching across the room. Hawthorne, realizing that the very foundation of his reign is crumbling, resorts to threats one would expect from a cornered animal. But this time, his hollow threats fall flat against the authenticity of Estelle's voice and the resounding chorus of understanding from the townsfolk. Far beyond the haze of fear, revelations begin to unfurl, laying bare the unblindfolded truth. The curse of humanity lies in ignorance and silence. In the final act of this chaotic ballet, the truth surfaces not only as a revelation but as a catalyst for change. The townspeople grasp the weight of their collective histories, intertwined like the fingers of hands clasped together in prayer. As alliances shift and friendships blossom within the community, a tide of courage rises. They begin to see the ghost not as a mere apparition to be feared but as the embodiment of their collective struggle. In the aftermath, Baton Rouge decides to embrace a different legacy. Estelle becomes not just a renowned figure of resistance but a symbol of hope, a beacon for the oppressed. Joshua transforms into a revered storyteller, a keeper of accounts of their fight, while Agnes pivots her tavern tales into a platform for inspiration and unity. Together, they redefine their narratives and kick open doors to futures unshackled by the chains of their past. They knew that while the scars would remain, they bore stories of resilience that would echo far beyond candlelit whispers in dark corners. And the ghost, once a symbol of fear, now became a part of the lore of Baton Rouge, the reminder that from shadows can emerge stories of light. So the mystery that rocked Baton Rouge in 1848, it wasn't merely the act of a ghost haunting a town, it was the awakening of spirits, of freedom, of bravery, and of a community that chose to rise united in the face of oppression. And if that isn't a tale worth telling, then I don't know what is. Thank you.